Let's talk about smashing your resistance with momentum, creating momentum. So, if you have read the book, The War of Art, I believe by Stephen Pressfield, then you know about the concept of the resistance. To sum it up, the resistance is your mind preventing you from creating art. And this comes in any form. This is not just with painting, but in anything that is your craft. If it's speaking, writing, creating a YouTube video, making a movie, making something physically out of wood, like a cabinet or whatever. Making something that is in a process of itself, creating art. Right? Where, art really is somehow expressing the spiritual substance of you, right? That's one way to put it. And for those that that do art often, and even this really is across all domains, but for those that are really intimate with this, know about the resistance. And what I've realized is that the resistance will impregnate itself into other tasks leading up to that piece of art. So every morning, I get up and I do my morning routine. I work out. I do that cold shower. And I notice even more resistance in my mind on the days that I'm pursuing art. It's really interesting. And I notice it can be hard to even get up in the morning. Because that entire time that I am focusing on all these difficult tasks, I am also fighting the resistance of what's to come in my mind. And it's really interesting that way, because now you realize just how much the mind can easily free associate and how much things spill over into other things. The mind spills over how you feel about certain tasks to others. This is why, and I've talked about this, I believe, in another episode, should be something called spilling, where if you're disciplined in one area of your life, then you're going to be disciplined in another. If you're nailing it physically, right, working out every day, and you got your macros in check where you know every detail, that attitude of knowing every detail about everything in your diet is going to spill over into other parts of your life. That attitude of showing up every day for your workout and on time is going to spill over into every other part of your life. That discipline. And what I notice is that the mind will spill over. The mind will create a scenario where it knows that the next task is going to be working on that piece of art. And as a result, it's going to make all the other tasks before it much more difficult. So if you can still smash through your emotionally difficult morning routine, then what you're doing is you're creating that momentum. You're creating that momentum in your mind. And that's really interesting. When you can actually take the momentum from your morning routine and put that into your work. And really, honestly, I don't think I could pursue my art if I didn't have an emotionally difficult morning routine. Like, I have to work out every day. When I don't work out, the day's just fucked. When I don't, when if I want to skip that cold shower, that day's just fucked. Also, I'll be dirty because I haven't showered. Or, of course, I can just do warm. But I noticed that the kind of attitude it takes to do an emotionally difficult thing, like take a cold shower, is the kind of attitude needed to actually conquer the emotionally difficult task of pursuing my art. And so if I gotta psych myself up, to get in there, then that's what has to happen every time. It's practicing just bulldozing through that resistance. I remember people online talking about how how do I just make, how do I get used to the cold shower, or how do you master the cold shower? It's like, the point of the cold shower is that it's going to suck every single time. That's the point. The point is you don't want to step in every single time. You realize that, right? And that's really with life, with pursuing our passions and pursuing our goals and creating something new and creating something beautiful. It's going to be emotionally difficult every single time. Do you get this? Hoping for it to be easier is not the correct attitude towards this endeavor, towards any endeavor. You just want to hope to become a stronger individual that can actually approach ever increasing challenges. And I believe the famous president said something along those lines. Whereas, I don't pray for an easy life. I just pray to be a stronger man. That fundamental, that difference between wanting it easier and then just wanting to be stronger, that difference, I believe, is the realization and acceptance of the brutality and truth of reality. When you can just lean into what's true and be like, all right, okay, well, this is what's true, then let me be stronger. So I will blast through my emotionally difficult morning routine with my art in mind. And this moment that I'm stepping in that cold shower, this moment when I go for that next set in my workout, for the next rep, it's a symbol of me approaching that emotionally difficult resistance. Do you realize this? So, to wrap things up, if you do not already have a morning routine where you are doing emotionally difficult things and you're trying to pursue your art, and you're having trouble pursuing your art, then you might not have enough inflicted adversity upon you right now. Self-inflicted adversity that we can overcome every single day is what's going to prepare us where we sweat more in peace so that we bleed less in war. You want to create your own adversity such that when the real adversity strikes, it's not going to be anything to you. It's just going to be another day. Where you ground yourself in the overcoming of these emotionally difficult routines. That is where you get your power. You want to create it such that doing your art is the least difficult thing of your day. Imagine if you made it such that it was that way. It reminds me of when I was in school, where, for example, there was a course called thermodynamics, and it was one hell of a course, very difficult, didn't like it, in notoriously difficult course. And I remember saying to myself, like, well, what if this was the easiest thing on my plate, right? What if I mastered this so well, right? Where this was the easiest thing. See, that attitude of being able to identify what's most difficult for you, and then making that priority to be that easiest thing for you. That's another way to reframe this whole thing. And one way to make doing your art easy is all of this emotionally difficult, self-inflicted forms of self-inflicted suffering, self-inflicted adversity that you are creating for yourself to create momentum towards every single day of suffering towards who you came here to be. Because it is in the moments of suffering that we truly write our character. Adversity introduces a man to himself, and how you act during that adversity is what's going to write the details of your story, of the character that you are. You realize that, right? Think about the hardest times in your life and how you acted then. That is who you really are at your core, right? When all the masks are off, right? When you're suffering, you're going to take off all the BS and all the masks, and what remains is your default mode of acting. And if your default mode of acting is one that still has an attitude of overcoming adversity, right? That's going to be your character. So when you're suffering in that workout, when you're suffering in that cold shower, when you're suffering in doing your routine on time, notice that those are the moments that you are shaping who you are to become who you came here to be. When it's when there's really difficult times in my life, I do like to remind myself, like, okay, this is a new opportunity to write, the next facet of my character. This is a new opportunity to really lock in some personal growth, to lock in some personal identity around who I really am. I'm going to show the world, the reality, who I really am. So yeah, to wrap things up again, notice that if your days are becoming more difficult and you're pursuing your art, that's probably just a resistance impregnating itself into each and of one of your tasks. And understand that every time you are overcoming that resistance, you are doing yet another rep to increase your strength of approaching and overcoming your resistance towards creating your art. And just hold that attitude in your mind, where instead of seeing, the obstacle as like, oh, well, shit, like, I'm fucked, like, seeing the obstacle as the way, where it's like, all right, this is my next level up, like, I really don't want to do this right now. I remember just looking at that cold shower and be like, I really don't want to do this right now. And I'm like, well, shit, I have to write a new reason why to step in here. I have to write a new reason why to wake up early. I have to write a new reason why to do my routines. I think we can forget the reasons why we do things, and because maybe the reasons disappear. And we have to reinstall new reasons to keep ourselves with our routine. So we're constantly updating our philosophies. This is why self-reflection every day and journaling can give you the daily update of these philosophies. So with that, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.